which was, again, Judy Woodruff asking Sanders, the little mini Lenin, about how big the government would be for all of the freebies he's promising in clip number 5.
My question is, how big would government be? Would there be any limit on the size and role of government?
Of course there will be a limit. But when today you have massive levels of income and wealth inequality, when the middle class is disappearing, you have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. Yes, in my view,
get off it already, you liar, you.
Has a moral responsibility to play a vital role in making sure that all of our people have a decent standard of living.
We have the highest standard of living in the world. More people don't work than any other place on earth. And he's still talking like it's 1930 and there's soup kitchens and child labor in a factory. Where is this idiot from? How'd they dig this creep up? Answer. It's quite simple. The people are stupid. Did you know that the millennial so-called generation, the drug addicts who are raised on Adderall, Ritalin, and other drugs, who are stupid, they may look pretty and smart, they're morons. Millennials pick socialism over capitalism. These smiling morons don't even know what socialism is. You know, I thought about Bernie's appeal, and one of the things that struck me that no one's talked about, so far as I know, is missing fathers and families. Have you heard that discussed, Robert? It came to me the other night that, you know, there's a lot of single-parent families in America, a lot of mothers raising children, a lot of absentee fathers. This guy Sanders is sort of like a friendly missing father that they wish they had, or a friendly missing grandfather who says he's for everyone who's oppressed. And he's kind of likable, you know, dirty suit, purple hands that he waves in your face every second. I don't know if I may have to leave the country. The thought of him waving those purple fingers for 8 years, I don't know, be enough to make me move to France. I might give up my American citizenship and become a talk show host in Paris and have to brush up on my French. The thought of him waving those engorged purple fingers at me for the rest of my life, I don't think I could take it. But aside from that, the reason the children who have been brainwashed in college after growing up on Adderall, Ritalin, marijuana, and pure and unadulterated brainwashing in the schools are going for it because they don't know that 80 million people died in the last century from socialism in the Soviet Union. Your ignorant talk is not around to criticize you anymore. Let's go to your socialist paradise of Cuba. Of course there's less crime because everyone who criticized it was either put away in a prison or killed. That's the country you want to live in?
You're stupid. Germany was not a socialist country like...
Of course it was, you ignoramus. National Socialism, you fool.
You dimwitted jackass.
Listen, you idiot. Nobody knows who you are. They all know who I am. And they listen to me because they know I back up my statements with facts. You're just an old man who is confused.
Reader, isn't that what you are? You're...
All right, listen, moron. Listen, moron. Hey, listen, old idiot. Listen carefully. Let's forget Nazi Germany, National Socialism, Nazism. You don't understand that, so we'll make it easy for you. You came on this national show and you had the nerve to say there's less crime in socialist countries. Let's go to Cuba. Is that or not a socialist country?
Yes.
And there's less crime, is that correct?
Yes, in the United States.
Well, stop for a minute. Try to use the few brain cells you have left. Why do you think there's less crime in Cuba?
Because they have socialism there. The United States has got more...
Sir, you just said less socialism when you're saying there's less crime in socialist countries. What are you saying? KCMO, Kansas City. Daniel, welcome. You're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please. What's your topic?
Oh, I'm just a Bernie supporter. Wanted to defend him a little bit with you. Streets, libraries, schools, police, firemen.
Wait, hold on. We don't have any of those things?
We have those things in our capitalist democracy that are technically socialist. Would you?
And so what's your point? So now you want to go 100% socialist with Bernie?
Well, no. Okay, so here's my point. If you call 911, only one service will bankrupt you in America. And most other countries solved this ages ago.
Sorry, I missed that point. If you call 911, what happens?
If the police show up, they're not going to bankrupt you. If the firefighters show up, they're not going to bankrupt you. But if
I don't know what is your point? I don't know what you're saying.
Up, just an ambulance, take you to the emergency.
Daniel, could you please be a little more clear on what you're trying to say? You're a supporter of Bernie, and you're saying socialism is good. Is that what you're trying to argue?
I'm saying that we're already part socialist.
But I know that. I've said that for 20 years. We're 60 to 70% socialist already. And? So now you want to make it 100% socialist?
Well, I really view healthcare as a human right, and I don't know how a Christian could look at it as,
Here we go. Bleeding heart liberal. So you mean all billions of people on the earth have a right to come here and I have to pay for their care?
Well, I'm saying if you call yourself a Christian and...
Well, stop telling me what I call myself. You're trying to sell socialism on a national talk show. You're alleging that health care is a right. It's a right for who?
So Jesus cured...
Stop with your Jesus already. This is not a theological discussion. It's a political discussion. Somebody has to pay for that health care. So if an illegal alien from Guatemala comes here with tuberculosis, I have to pay for that health care when in the past my grandfather was stopped at Ellis Island, and if anybody had a disease, they were sent home? Well, what kind of country is this? We are bankrupt, my friend. Eight 855-407-282. John on WABC. Go ahead. You're on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Dr. Savage, I just want to let you know that Michelle Obama is not doing anything wrong by telling...
Oh, you're letting me know? You mean you're giving me your false opinion? You're not telling me. You're not letting me know. You're giving me your commie opinion.
Nothing communist, because the communists never lied. It was the fascist Nazis who always lied and tried to have a revision.
The communists never lied? Tell that to the 100 million people killed by communism in the last century. Didn't you read that in your college textbook?
Go back and change history like the Nazis did.
What did I just say to you? The communism killed 100 million people in the last century. Are you aware of that or not?
Yeah, but I'm not a historical revisionist. This is revisionism.
Wait, just stop changing the subject. How many Cambodians died under the communist Pol Pot?
Nothing. He wasn't a communist. In fact, we supported him against the Vietnamese.
Wait, but you're twisting the truth again. He was a communist. Do you know who Pol Pot was?
He wasn't. We supported...
I just asked you a question. Hey, stupid. Listen, if you're going to play stupid with me, I'm clicking the button and you're going back into cyberspace. Tell me who Pol Pot was.
He was the head of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, who we supported against the Vietnamese.
I didn't ask you who we supported. I asked you who he was. Do you know how he became a communist? Yes or no?
No.
Well, I'm going to educate you, dummy, so you can take time out from your Occupy Wall Street mimeographing. He was a college teacher who went to Paris to study Marxism. He came back to Cambodia, and he introduced Marxism to Cambodia. Fast cut to 3 million human skulls. Do you remember that?
The killing fields, yes.
Oh, thanks for the call, you schmuck, you. Michelle.
When I take over in this country, the rich are going to pay their fair share. And not only will they pay their fair share, but I am certain that others will pay their fair share as well, especially those who have any money in anything they've achieved. They must pay their fair share, because nobody has earned anything in this country, except it was on the back of others. And so I think a minimum tax rate for those making more than $10,000 a year should be at least 98%, and I would make it graduated, so people should not say that I'm unfair. Anybody making more than $20,000 a year should pay 99%. Anybody making $50,000 up must pay 100% of their income as taxes. She said, how are they going to live if they pay 100% in taxes? My answer is simple. Let them live like the others live with nothing. Let them go on welfare, food stamps. Let them see what it's like. I want fairness. I want equality in this society. And therefore, I think that fair taxes are the fairest way to go. And 100% is fair enough for anyone making over $50,000 a year. And as far as the millionaires and the billionaires, I tax them at 150%. So how are they going to live? Because they got plenty put away. They could sell their houses, they could sell the yachts, they could sell the cars, and they could empty the bank account. So 150% up to $10 million, 300% if you make more than $20 million, and then we'll have fairness in America. I would also take all of the street people from Black Lives Matter, and I make them all of my cabinet, because they know how to make things run. They know how to deal drugs, they know how to sell, they know how to make a profit, they know how to buy, they know how to sell. I'm going to put them into the Department of Human Affairs. I'm going to put them into the Education Department because they speak such fine English. I'm going to take some of the Black Lives Matter to run the health and human services departments, as they know all about welfare. Believe me, we're going to have people on the ground who know just how to make this country work. I'm Bernie Sanders, and I'm running as a communist. Step right up. Step right up. WBOB, line 7, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Yeah, Bernie, I'd like to ask you a question about national defense.
Okay, what's the question? What's the question?
Well, the question is, if it came down to that the only way to protect the United States was a nuclear strike in one of the Middle Eastern countries, would you be able to push the button, Bernie?
Absolutely not. I'm totally opposed to nuclear weapons. I want a nuclear-free world. A nuclear weapon can ruin your entire day. I've been against nuclear weapons since the 1960s. When I was an anti-war activist, I was never against the brave troops, but I was against the war. I am totally against bombs of any kind, whether they be stink bombs or atomic bombs. Now, that raises the question of how I would fight ISIS. We admit ISIS is filled with people who lack economic opportunity, and because of global warming, the desert was created a very long time ago. Remember that. Go back in time and you will see that was once a forested area in the Middle East. This is a direct example of why global warming must be stopped right now. Because if it wasn't for global warming and the trees dying, there would be trees and orchards in the Middle East rather than sand. And as a result of the global warming, from going back to the Pleistocene, you have a lot of violent Arabs who are miserable and unhappy from the heat and the lack of air conditioning. And to answer your question simply, no, I would not nuke them. I would offer them jobs. I would do a job creation program in the Middle East. I know an awful lot about jobs. Although I've never held one, I know a lot about it. That's your answer. Thank you.
Or the communist, Bernie Sanders, the loser bum. That loser bum. Every time I see a broken car riding by with a distorted face on it, says, "Go Bernie." I know what they are. A bum. A ne'er-do-well into his late 30s who didn't earn a dime. A bum. Lived off his family till he was in his 30s, failed at everything. An angry radical spritzer, an agitator who never accomplished anything. He did nothing. Did you know he took his first bride, that Bernie did, to live in a maple sugar shack with a dirt floor, and she ditched him? She didn't want to use a toilet in the woods. See, then he's penniless, Bernie Sanders. He goes on unemployment. Okay, that happens. Then he has a child out of wedlock. Well, that's the norm in America today. That makes him even a better candidate to those with broken cars. Then he tries carpentry, but he couldn't even hammer a nail correctly. A friend told Politico magazine he was a terrible carpenter. His carpentry was not going to support him and didn't. Then he tried his hand freelancing for leftist rags, writing about masturbation and rape. I'm quoting now, for $50 a story. So he was a bum. But they said the only thing that Bernie Sanders was good at was talking and talking and talking about socialism and how the rich were ripping everybody else off. All he talked about was the redistribution of wealth. And the rest is history. This worthless loser bum is now being taken seriously by all the worthless loser bums in America. On the other side of the aisle is an overt, low-life, street socialist, communist, terrible loser professional agitator like Bernie Sanders, a guy who doesn't even believe he's getting this kind of attention. A left-wing fanatic that if you ever saw him, you'd say, who is that man? Call the police. He looks like a vagrant. Now all of a sudden, he was like the college professor that you had who for 3 hours harangued you about America and then made you feel guilty about white privilege. That's Bernie Sanders. It's unbelievable to me. A communist from his dirty toenails to his dandruff. His dandruff flakes are socialistic. That's how bad this guy is.
And here he is, Michael Savage.
The scientific community is telling us if we do not address the global crisis of climate change, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to sustainable energy, the planet that we're going to be leaving our kids and our grandchildren may well not be habitable. That is
sounds like a deli man. If you were to say to him, how's the tongue today? Here's what Bernie said. The tongue is always very good. And one of the reasons the tongue is good is because the capitalists are the ones who made certain the tongue is not as good as it was in Poland. I got to tell you, as good as the tongue is today, the tongue was much better years ago before the capitalists put too much brine in it. The pickles are pretty good today, but the fact is the pickles are not what they once were. America's pickles have gone straight downhill with the advent of the corporate structure and the corporate mentality. When this was a family-owned business, when pickles were made by families, the pickles were much better. And as a result of corporate welfare, I must say, in all fairness, the corporate welfare has destroyed the American pickle. Yeah, that's my summary of the entire so-called Soviet-era debate. I felt like I was watching something from the Khrushchev era in color.